You're listening to the Chronicles of Livin podcast, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. Now let's talk. Happy new decade, my visionary dreamers. How is everybody doing on this whole new decade? It's not just a new year, it's a new decade. To those who are just tuning in for the first time, this is Adion, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from yourself, from the world, from some real bullshit. And you are listening to Chronicles of Livin podcast show, the show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. You know us extraordinary folk over here doing the damn thing the best way we can. And yes, it has been almost a decade since I've been on. But I miss you guys so much. I love you so much. It feels good to be back. Not going to waste time getting into, but just needed to go on a hiatus. You know what I mean? We need that every day, every now and then. Had to get things rewired in my head, in my mind, and see what is the new path, how are we going to do things going into this new canvas, this new decade, And so nevertheless, this show is about just us, viewing life, viewing ourselves in different ways and just looking at different situations from a different perspective, That's what this show is about. And, this topic is pretty touchy. I said, okay, God, we doing this. We doing it like this, just from the gate, right? Just from the gate. We just going to do it like this. But this topic came about from a loved one. As I say, some of these topics just come about. I passed another plan, but lo and behold, here we go. And I just think that starting this new year off with this topic is actually a good thing. Because maybe we need to look at life differently or being more open. Let's say that. Being more open. So I'm just going to start off like this. I was going to come on and do all of this, research, but of course I ain't had time because I just got this topic maybe an hour or so ago. But God was just like, no, come from the heart, come from your experience, just so people can kind of look at their experience as they walk through life, because we experience different things at different times in our lives, and it all plays a part to this big puzzle that we are. We're figuring out ourselves day by day, situation by situation, relationship by relationship, and how we react, respond, and feel with those relationships. And those relationships, with people come from beliefs, come from practices, come from their way of being, Some of it comes from upbringing. Some of it comes from their own journey and they decided to go on different paths as they grew up and left their homes. So many different ways. So for me, for instance, since I was born, like my grandmom is the one that introduced me to the church, introduced us to, God, taught me how to pray, at night. And we had to go to church like every Sunday when we were small. And it was a Baptist church. So I grew up in a Baptist church, going to a Baptist church. And the funny thing about that is this. My grandma went to church, but my grandpop didn't. My grandpop drove us to church. And I never knew why until I got older, but I never questioned it when I was younger neither. So we just did what was the standard thing to do, is to get up and to go to church every Sunday, right? Now, let me just put a disclaimer out here before I even go any deeper. I am by no way trying to tell anybody how to live their life. I have respect for all religions, whoever is listening, because I know people listen from all over this world, and everybody has their own culture, their own ethnic background, their own beliefs. So that's not what this show is about. So just get that out your head and stop twisting your lips up or whatever, or expecting something negative, because that's not what I'm about. Okay. So let me just clarify that right now. And I just want everybody to be open and receptive, because if you open and receptive, then guess what? You might get a nugget out of this podcast show today that you wasn't even expected. And it might be just one sentence I say, or it might be an aha moment. Okay. So let's just be open with this topic. Okay. So my grandpa never went to church, but this is what I realized as I got older, I realized that we went to church, but we never was told why. We learned how to pray, but we never, knew the depths of the praying. We just did the act because that's what we were taught. You know what I'm saying? We read the Bible because that's what we were taught. That was the household that we grew up in. So that's all we knew. Until, of course, we got older and we all decided to go whatever paths we went, Nevertheless, as I became a teenager, I kind of fell away from the church. And I believe the reason why, in hindsight, is because I was never taught the reasons why I was going to church. You know what I mean? Yes, I know it was because there is God, there is Jesus, and we pray to God and Jesus, and they come and they help us. But when you're young and when you have, and you're a teenager, and then you grow up in an environment that's, that's always going out and partying, and your household is going to church, but not everybody's household is doing that, it can be a little bit confusing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I believe would allow me. I'm not going to say would allow me, but it was me. I just strayed away. Let's say that I strayed away from the church. I never forgot God. Always prayed, always said my prayers, grace and all of that stuff. I never forgot Jesus, none of that stuff. Okay. But as I got older and older, I started, and then I had my own son. I started to go back, and get back into the church. But this time, for some reason, I felt like, okay, I don't want to do Baptist. That's not my twist anymore. I don't really like the hooping and hollering. I really, just want the message. And I just like some good singing. So there went me and my son's journey, church to church, trying to find a decent church that we both agreed on. I wanted to be different. God bless my grandmom's heart. And I'm grateful to her for introducing me to God and to taking me to church so that I can know that there is a higher source that I need to answer to, okay? And that keeps me on track, and that I can pray for help, when I need it, and guidance. But nevertheless, I started teaching my son, but I wanted it a different route. I explained what I could, and we went on a journey together, and I asked him, did you like this church? Why? And if he said no, I'd be like, okay, what didn't you like about the church? Okay, let's try another one. I let it be both of our decisions as to, the church that we picked. It wasn't just about me. I wanted him to get something out of it as well. Because if I just made the choice for him, then I think it would have been a repeat of me not knowing why I went, and then him falling away when he got older. I wanted him to have an interest as well, so that he can get what he can get out of it, and then I can get what I get out of the adult version of it. So we wound up at a non-denominational church, which of course studied the Bible, wasn't a hocus pocus, studied the Bible and everything, young pastor and all of that. So I want to tell y'all this story because this is the reason why I believe that this topic is really important, Now, my experience with church is, and this is my experience, is I went for the message, not for the people, not for the pastor. But what I have experienced, I'm trying to be very careful here, what my experience was, is a lot of judgmental folk. And that's not every church, okay? But my experience has been church folk can be very judgmental, as I am not perfect and I'm working on that and trying to be mindful when I am judgmental about someone. So perfect example. I don't want to skip ahead. Okay. Perfect example. When there is something that's being done that somebody doesn't have knowledge of. Okay, I'll just say this, like card reading. Okay. Card reading, oracle card reading, angel card readings. I got into that. And back in the day, I was taught that's evil. Oh, you don't want to do no card reading because that's evil. You're going to be cursed and all of this stuff. But I fell into that gift. It wasn't something that was planned. I just fell into it, and I just was doing it as kind of like a hobby, but it actually was helping people get messages and get guidance and get confirmation. So I'll say, I'm trying not to jump all around, but it's so much I want to talk about. But I'll say, God gives us tools. Okay. Let's say it that way. God gives us tools. It's not like God is going to come here physically in physical form. So when we have prayers that we send out and we have questions that we send out, sometimes God will use a person, a place, a thing, a situation to give you your answers, a tool, as in card reading with the messages on the cards. You know what I'm saying? But I talked to a Christian man, and I just kind of said something about I had did somebody's card reading, and they were like, card reading. And I was like, yeah, just, helping people, get some messages that they need or whatever to go on the path or whatever, confirmation. So I said, if you would like me to do a session on you, just let me know. He came back with, no, that's wicked. I'm a follower of Christ, this and any other. So in that sentence, to me, if you are a follower of Christ, if you think about his disciples, now I'm not going to get into all of them, but they had some stuff going on with them. Okay. So therefore, Christ was not a judgmental person. Christ dealt with people for whatever the mission was, and he didn't judge until, he just gave everybody a clean slate. Let's say that. And he taught them the knowledge that he learned, the knowledge that he knew from God, our Father. Okay. So with that being said, I'm trying my best not to go all over the place, y'all. So for me, that was one situation. And I just came back with like, no, I'm one with God too. I believe in Jesus too. And no, I don't do witchcraft. I'm just trying to help people on their path. This is a newfound gift, and I'm just following it. You know what I mean? Same thing with energy healing. I fell into that energy healing. There are different ways people can release. You know what I mean? You got in the Bible, you got your prophets, but then they say if somebody's psychic, oh, they're evil. They're from the devil. But isn't a prophet like a psychic? I mean, the prophet gets messages just like a psychic. I think it's more so the title that bothers everybody. We have these titles and these definitions, but yet you're doing the same thing, but it's the title that gets us confused. It's the symbols that gets us confused, and that will sometimes make us miss a blessing that we could have, or make us miss an answer that we could have received because of our past teaching and us not investigating things for ourselves, So speed up, because I'm worked hard on not making this a very long show. Speed up. I'll use my grandpop first, and then I'll go into the next thing. So as I got older, I would have lunch with my grandpop. This was some years ago, just before he passed. I love that man. And I asked him, I said, Grandpop, why is it that you don't go to church? You know, you always used to drop us off. Why is it that you never went? So his view on church was, his experience was the church that he went to, that pastor was cheating on his wife and was taking the money and pretty much doing what he wanted to do with the money and not helping the community. So that was his experience. That was his one experience, though. You know, as I said, I went to many churches until we found the right fit. So, but yet my grandpop was a humble man. He never complained. I never heard him gossip. This man, he was just like supernatural. I don't know. But he was always very giving. But he didn't go to church. So now let me speed up. So a couple years back, I went to a yoga meditation retreat. I just knew in my spirit I wanted something different. My life was just not going the way I wanted to for some time. And I knew that within me, there was something that was missing. There was something that I just wasn't on my path the way I should. I was praying. I was reading my Bible. You know what I'm saying? But I still felt there was something missing. And I still felt like there's something more to life than church. And there's something more. So long story short, I researched on my internet and found this place, this yoga meditation retreat. Here we go. Another judgmental, to me, action. The people that I knew, my loved ones, were like kind of feeling some type of way because they felt like the information that they have been fed was that a yoga meditation retreat is a cult. Okay. But this is coming from people that believe in God and that are Christian, like it's a cult. But everybody that knows me knows that I'm a very adventurous person and I always seek knowledge because this is something that was instilled in me from my grandpa to always get knowledge for self. And that is in the Bible as well. So Jesus said, gain knowledge for yourself. Okay. So with that being said, that is the reason why I am the way I am. I want to learn things for myself, because if you learn for yourself, then it's like no more questions. You can't go on everybody else's. You can't look at life through everybody else's eyes. You have to see life for yourself, because when you see life for yourself, you learn more about yourself. You learn what it is that is your path. What is it that you have to give back to the world? That's what you will learn when you start investigating and not just following what you were just brought up to do. Yes, definitely do everything in love. Definitely do everything on a positive sense. If it's something negative, you definitely want to stay away. Come on, common sense, logic, use that. We all have it. Okay. So with that being said, I found my place. And the day that I was on my way, I go to the gas station and I go to get some gas and I put the gas pump in. But yet, imagine this. Imagine you're at the gas station. You put the gas pump in. You release the thing so that catches onto the clip. And the pump comes out and splashes all over you. The gas just splashed all over me. Now, I had two choices. I could have looked at it in a religious standpoint and said, okay, that's God saying don't go, okay, because it's a cult. Or I could have said, that's the devil trying to keep me from going, because maybe I might learn something about myself at this place, okay? But me, I said, you know what? I'm going home. I'm washing up. And I'm going. I need to have this answer. Why am I drawn to this place? Okay. Why do I feel the need to go to a place like this? So I went. I washed up and everything, changed my clothes, and I drove 3.5 hours away from my house to go to this yoga meditation retreat. I put an application in to work for them, but it was on a Sunday. So therefore, or was it a Monday? I think it was a Monday. It was a Monday. But by the time I got there, everything was closed and it was out yonder in somewhere where the Wi-Fi was not connecting. So long story short, everybody had left and it was a 3.5 hour drive. My GPS wasn't working right. I made it to Walmart and I decided, you know what? I'm not driving back up here in those 3.5 hours. I got a sleeping bag in the car. I really want to see what's up with this place. I went in Walmart. I got me a doggone, a charger for my laptop. And I went in there, got me some wipes and all of this stuff, came back in my car, and I stayed in Walmart parking lot. That's how much my spirit wanted to know what was up with this place. And this is where the spirituality part comes in. When you tap into your spirit and you use prayer as a source with your spirit, then your intuition is heightened and you know there's something that you need from this place, person, thing. Okay. So I stayed in the parking lot overnight, got up, went to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning, wiped off and everything, went to the bathroom. Yeah. People that know me, they know I'm crazy like that. And I went back. And by then, I missed one part. I did see the receptionist and I gave her my resume before I left and went to the Walmart. So by the time I got there, she had gave my resume around and I had a couple people that was interested in hiring me. So talked to the manager for the events planning section and bam, she was like, I like you. You want the job? It's yours. Now, because I was going to work there, I was able to live there. And my contract was for a year initially. But in that yoga meditation retreat, I'm just going to pass all the rest of the stuff, hoopla. I wound up moving there. My lease was up 6 months. I had a 6-month lease where I was staying, and I left all my apartment with the landlord and let them sell it, do whatever they wanted to do, because the yoga meditation retreat was like a dorm. So I couldn't take everything with me and it was already furnished. So I took what was important to me and I left, see you later, bye, and let them sell the stuff, the furniture. And that's all a part of it too. When you are attached with your spirit, materialistic things don't matter to you as much because you know that God will give it back to you. You know that when it's time, everything will align to who you are and what you need and where you are. Okay. So I stayed at that retreat. And there is where I figured out, okay, the missing piece of the puzzle. When I think about how much my life has changed since I stayed at that retreat, when everybody was so concerned and thinking like, oh my gosh, she's in a cold and this and the other, I found myself. I found my true essence. I found, my calm. I'll say that, my calm, because we ate clean. We didn't do meat and all that. And I'm not saying don't do no meat, but we ate clean every day. So, of course, I lost weight. I felt so energetic. I had the best energy to date when I stayed at the place. Now, it wasn't what the guru was teaching me. It was just the space and the time with self. That, to me, is the difference with the whole religion and the whole spirituality. I believe that when the spirituality part is you connecting with your higher self, with God, within your own being. And if I can explain it differently, just being one and having that time where there's no noise around, there's no people around. Where the difference for me with church, and like I said, there's nothing against church. I like church. I like, but for me, I get more out of, being one and spending time and meditating in silence than being in a church environment. And there's a bunch of noise. I'm not going to say noise in that, not in a negative way, y'all, not in a negative way, but a bunch of, let's say, people, just a bunch of people. I just feel like for me, let me make it clear. For me, I was able to change my mindset as I was there because I was able to be with myself. I was able to not have so much pulling at me, so many people pulling at me. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying meaning just, your regular phone calls every day and all that. It gave me time to really think. It gave me time to sit with myself. It gave me time to look at my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying to date that my life is perfect. No, that's not it. But what I can say is this. Since I've left that retreat and I've been back, I know I fell off. I'm not eating right. Well, I'm just getting back on it. But when I stopped eating right and I started eating the way I used to, I felt like I started getting brain fog. And just I'm going to say this last maybe month or so, I started getting back on track with my meditating and my just sitting with myself and just, asking myself questions, like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Just being one with God. I believe that you just hear God differently when you're more in touch with the meditation realm, because for me, I believe prayer, when we pray, and I pray too, let's make this very clear. I pray to God, okay? But I believe that when you're praying, you're asking, God, please do this. Please do that. Make this person that. And we're asking, we're praying. When you're meditating, and again, for me, when you're meditating, you're quieting your mind. And because you're quieting your mind, you're so relaxed, you're so at peace that nothing else matters in that moment. You got to get used to it, of course, with your breathing and everything. But when you're breathing, that is helping your nervous system. It's a healthy thing to do as well, because it's helping you in your nervous system. I know this is jumping over, but I just want y'all to know, for me, the difference. And y'all can comment. Please comment. You know what I mean? Y'all can comment. And I'm getting ready to get this where you can record your comments as well. So look out for that. I'm working on that right now. But I taught just before I moved back to Georgia, because I just moved back to Georgia, I taught at this YMCA, and I taught some fifth graders, and I taught them entrepreneurship class, right? But in that entrepreneurship class, how I would start my day with them would be meditation and affirmations. And in the beginning, because, fifth graders, they was like, But let me tell you, by the time I finished, I taught them for the summer. By the time I finished teaching them, I asked them, I did like a survey. I said, so what did y'all like the most out of this course, this class? I want to say 90% of those kids raised their hand and said the meditation and the affirmations. And I asked them why. And they all said the same thing. Basically, it taught them how to calm their mind. It taught them how to calm their anger, when they were at home, because I told them they could use it for their homework and their studies and things of that nature. It taught them that. So I taught them, you got to pray too. You got to ask God and all of this stuff. But I think it was easier for them to just sit and to learn how to just sit with themselves. And they learned more about themselves because of that. So, I know that this conversation, I really wanted to do research, but God just was like, look, no, just tell from your experience so people can kind of look at their experience. What are you getting out of your religion? What are you getting out of your spirituality? How are you connecting with God? Do you see a difference in yourself? Do you see a difference in the way you act? And I know, I'm going to say, since I've been back, all the way up until, I'm going to say, this past month, I know I was off my square. I was not as calm and as collective as I was, when I spent those 8 months I didn't do a whole year, but I did 8 months at the meditation yoga retreat. But nevertheless, just like from church, I got those lessons. I learned a lot about myself when I was in church, and I learned a lot about myself when I was at the yoga meditation retreat. And I say this from me Ubering. I Uber from time to time. From me Ubering, I have picked up people from all walks of life, and we have conversations, and I just love the conversations. I love just the way they look at life, just hearing the way they look at life. And I just believe that when you're a spiritual person, you're more open. You're more open to people. You're not as judgmental. And again, please don't throw the doors at the doggone whatever you listen to. I'm not talking about all church folk. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? But I'm talking about my experience, okay? My experience. The people that some of my loved ones, and some of the people I've met throughout my life have been kind of judgmental, have been kind of like, you're not living life right if you don't do it this way. Where when you look at people or cultures that meditate, they're more calm people. They're more compassionate people. And I'm not trying to compare, y'all. Please keep an open mind. I am talking about from my experience. Now, there was some people at the yoga meditation retreat that had some stuff too. I'm not saying that. But when I see as a collective, the people that meditate, you don't see them if you know anything about like a world star, like a fighting type of, you don't see them on the news fighting and all of that whole bit. I just can't say. Anyway, look at when you think about the cultures as a collective of people that meditate, they're more calm versus the people that don't. And again, I'm not comparing, but I'm just saying, if you look at it, like I say 80% to 80%, I just want everybody to be more open-minded. I think this is why God wanted me to do this topic, or why this topic came about. I want people to be more open-minded, because I feel like if I wasn't open-minded and I would have listened to everybody saying that's a code and this and any other, I don't believe I would have grown to this point. I'll say that. I'm still growing every day. I'm still learning every day. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. Disclaimer right there. I am not perfect. But I'm telling you this. When you learn how to meditate and you learn that spirituality is the core of our being, religion is rules and regulations, and you have to be like, and you have to do this way, or if you don't, you're going to go to hell. And if you know what I'm saying? And I just don't believe that is what God intends for us. God is love. That is God. So anything that's other than love is not of God to me. Okay. It's not of Jesus to me, and just as well, if you believe the stories in the Bible, you take a situation like this. Everybody in life, the standard way of life is you get this job, you get this house, and if you don't have your own house, if you don't have and you're not stable, then you're not a stable person. But let's look at Jesus. And one of my girlfriends, she had me cracking up about this because, I've moved a lot. And she was like, well, shoot, Jesus ain't had no stable home. He just was all over the world. It is so true. So I say that to say, we got to stop being judgmental. We got to stop being closed-minded and just research stuff for yourself. I know how we have these certain upbringings. We have these certain, who raised us, and the environment that we raised in is what we become after a while. If we're settled in that, if we're settled in that way of doing things, we become that. We become that environment. We become that mentality. And then we can't look at anything any different because that's what we are surrounded with. Instead of going out and learning some things for yourself, like, you know, my mom, she really be having concerns like, you be by yourself and you need to get out. And I get out. I get out when I want to. But I believe that I am who I am because I allow myself to have that time by myself. I allow myself to pull back my energy and be with myself, with God, and pray, meditate, and listen. When you meditate, you hear clear, you feel clear, you think clear, you know? And I know the difference when I fall off, and I fell off bad when I came, you know, from the retreat, and I see the difference. I feel the difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a much happier person when I get into the whole, let me just be still for a minute. Let me just, you know what I'm saying? That whole bit. So by no means am I saying going to church is bad or going to being a Muslim is bad or all of that stuff. What I'm saying is the difference for me is this. If you're going to be in any type of religion, have an open mind. Don't be judgmental because someone else is different from you, because someone else was raised differently from you. You know, don't be judgmental because at the end of the day, God is one God. Whether you call them, whoever, I don't want to say no different names because I don't want to pick on no religion. So whatever you call your God, as long as your God is a good God and your God doesn't mean evil, that's the same God. We're all praying to the same God. You know, that to me, there's just a source, and we have our ancestors that's watching over us, those who have came before us, our guardian angels that's watching over us, you know, that we can call on for help, for guidance. You know, God gives us, when you're in the spiritual realm, then you can see that all the different messages outside of like the card reading, you can see that numbers are messages. Animals are giving us messages. You know, even trees and flowers, they give us messages. You think about this, and I'm going to leave y'all with this. You think about this. We have a sun, we have a moon, you know. People say, oh, astrology is evil. But why is it evil if we have a sun and we have a moon? The sun helps us have vitamin D to help us with our health, helps the fruit and the vegetables to grow. Why wouldn't you want to learn something about that? You know, the moon gives energy and it brings us mood swings and things of that nature. We got the stars and the planets. Why wouldn't you want to learn about something that God, our creator, created? What does it all mean? You know, numbers, when you think about numbers, is our identity. What do we have? We have a birthday. We have an address. We have everything is identified by numbers. A social security number is attached to us. You know, so everything has a meaning, guys. You can't get stuck because when you get stuck, you can't grow. When you get stuck, there are blessings that you're missing out on. Learn for yourself. Learn for yourself. Don't go by just what you're taught from the past. Do some research for yourself. You'll never know what you uncover. You never know what you'll learn about yourself that can help you, that can help your family, that can help your friends, that can help the world. You never know how much of a blessing it will be to you or to your loved ones. So, you know, it's a lot more I wanted to say, but I'm just going to leave it with that. And I think that's the message at the end of the day, is to have an open mind as to whatever religion that you're in. Have an open mind. You know, we're all here. We're all human. We all have feelings. We all bleed the same. There's nothing different. You think about racism and we want to fight racism. So to me, when you get into religion and you go back and forth, my religion is the one, your religion is the devil, this and that and the other, that's being judgmental. That's not what God is about. That's not what Christ is about. That's not, I don't think that's not that's what they intended this world to look like, for us to be fighting each other over what religion is right and wrong. But I must say this, your experience is your experience, and how you deal with your religion or your spirituality is your path, So when someone is judgmental over how you live your life, when we all have our lessons to learn, we all have our own path to walk, because our path, believe it or not, is going to help somebody else's path. Our path, our journey is going to help somebody else along the journey. So don't ever feel like you're less than, or you're wrong, or we're all learning day by day. We're all learning day by day. There's no right way or no wrong way to do things. We're discovering new ways to do things as we walk through this life and this time, space, and reality. If we didn't keep an open mind, and we don't think outside the box, we wouldn't have all the things that we have today, all the inventions that we have today, that people called them crazy and was judgmental over them. They're crazy. They're not doing things the right way, the standard way. But yet we are enjoying the fruits of their labors, the fruits of, the Steve Jobs and all these different people, the Martin Luther Kings, that fought for us to have freedom. And everybody was judged in some type of way. So let's not be that person. Let's work hard on ourselves, as I am every day. I'm working harder and harder. And I want my friends and my family to pull my coattail when I'm fall off center. My son is good for it. He'll tell me in a minute. And I love him for it. So let's be open-minded going into this new decade. Let's not, when we find ourselves judging someone, let's just have that self-talk, and let's just take a couple deep breaths and just ask ourselves, if that person said what we're about to say to them, how would we feel? Let's do it that way. Let's put the shoe on the other foot, but let's not be fools. Let's not let people use us or take us for granted. You know what I'm saying? Be very in touch with your feelings, of course. But let's just go into this next decade wanting to love people more, wanting to have more compassion for people, and wanting to keep an open mind so that we won't miss out on blessings or lessons or messages that God has for us, and God is using through an unorthodox way to get the message to you. Because see, that's what happens. Sometimes your message might come in an unorthodox way, in a way that you're not used to, and you can miss it, all because of your closed-mindedness. Okay, so I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Let's go into this new decade with a new canvas. I am back, y'all. I'm back every Sunday. I'm getting things together. As y'all see, I changed up a couple of things, and I'm here. So this is Adion, your dream pusher, your life guard, saving you from yourself, from the world, from some real bullshit. And you are listening to Chronicles of Livin podcast show, the show for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. And definitely share the show, guys. I meant to tell y'all in the beginning, share the show. Please, y'all want to get the journals, 90-day journal, visionary dreamer, 90-day journal, and to transform your life. Just go to Amazon and search on books, April, Adion, Adionne, Williams, and the books will come up. Okay. So until next Sunday, I love you guys. Let's just do our part. We can't change nobody else. We can only change ourselves. So let's just love on each other as much as we can. And that's it. Let's just give out as much peace as we can. Okay. I love you guys. Until next week. Peace. Thank you for listening to Chronicles of Livin, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. And if you are pursuing your dreams, I'm proud of you. Because the best part of life is when you decide to live. To keep up with us, please visit chroniclesoflivin.com. Until next time, this is Adion, your dream pusher. I love you guys.